Right, hey there guys, this is Real Global Productions. Today we're coming back with another tutorial video for you guys, and today's tutorial is going to focus on the fundamentals of EQ in Cubase. EQ is a powerful tool that can make or break your mix, so mastering the basics is very crucial. Whether you're a beginner or looking to refine your skills, we've got you covered. So let's jump right into some essential EQ tips for Cubase, and then after that we're going to look at EQing a hip-hop vocal and some tips on how to get the best out of your hip-hop vocals for a more practical example. Alright, so first things first, we need to choose the right EQ plugin for our session. So for the sake of this tutorial and ease of use, I will be using the TDR Nova, which is a free plugin, by the way, so make sure you guys grab it if you like it. We'll put the link down in the description. So first things first, let me just get my mixer window open here. You can add your VSTs on the main window of Cubase, however it's just so much easier in the mix window. So at the top here we'll bring up our mix console. Let me just drag this across real quick. Perfect. Alright, so we'll just stick one on our insert layer on our main vocal. We won't do any tweaking on the vocal just yet, but I just want to show you guys how this EQ looks and how it works. So under inserts we go to the EQ tab, DJ EQ, Solid EQ, and Studio EQ, as far as I know, are Cubase's stock standalone plugins, standalone EQs. Studio EQ, for example, also a great EQ if you don't have any third-party plugins, but for the sake of this tutorial we are going to use TDR Nova. So this is what the interface for TDR Nova looks like. Let me just see if I can make this a little bigger for you guys. Alright, so this is how our TDR Nova plugin looks like. So first, what's important for us is to make sure we understand the controls in our EQ. Before we start tweaking anything, it's important to familiarize ourselves with the EQ. So over here we have our frequency knob. This sets the center point of the frequency we want to boost or cut. So currently you can see we're on the first nodule over here. So I mean, if I choose any of these and move the frequency knob, it will move the nodule over whatever frequency we want to tweak or play with. Very simple. We can also just grab the nodule ourselves and move it however we want. Then we have our gain. What this does is boost or cut the frequency, either positive or negative gain at our chosen frequency. So let's just, for example, say move this nodule over 500. If I boost it, it'll move the EQ up. If I lower it, it'll move the EQ down, boosting and cutting. Then this little knob here on the left is our Q, or bandwidth. This controls the width of the boost or cut that frequency band is affecting. So again, if I boost the gain over here and I tweak the Q, I can either make it wider or very narrow and tight, depending on what I need to cut out, what I need to alter. So let's return that back to 0. Alright, so these controls will give you obviously more control over your sound. Those are the very basic controls. Those are the ones we'll worry about for now. Then on the left here we have our high pass and low pass toggle. So this is to cut away anything on the lower side of the frequency spectrum, and then low pass the opposite, anything on the higher side of the frequency spectrum. Then at the top here we can select our nodules. If if we want to do it that way. Like I said, you can also just simply click them. TDR Nova has quite a cool feature where you can band solo. So if you would just like to listen to the audio within that frequency band for more precise boosting, cutting, listening to frequencies, that kind of thing, we can select any of these nodules and band solo them to get even more detail. Alright, let's disable this high pass and low pass for now. In the right corner here we have the bypass button, to bypass the effect if you would like to reference it back to your dry sound. We can also bypass in Cubase ourselves by hitting this little square here. That'll also turn the effect on or off. Alright, moving on. High pass filters are your friends. They're very good for removing unwanted low end rumble and noise from tracks like vocals, guitars, etc. A good safe area to set your high pass filter, depending on what we are EQing, is around 80 to 100 Hertz. So this range over here, usually anything below that range is very unwanted low end rumble, not really important to the mix. The human ear can't really perceive anything above 20 Hertz anyway, so there's no real point in keeping that space there. You can also adjust the slope to your liking. Whether you want it wider or more shallow, that's up to you. To do that, we come down here on the TDR Nova to the bottom left, and we can drag up or down to make it steeper or more progressive, if I can say that. Alright, the first thing we need to do is obviously find unwanted frequencies in our audio and then cut them out, get rid of them. So some general guidelines for that. We will obviously give you more practical examples of this later in the video, but just so you understand some basic EQing guidelines and things to look out for and follow. Oftentimes in audio we find the muddiness in around the 200 to 400 frequency range, which is this range over here. And usually we can address sibilance around the 5 to 7K area, which is this area over here. When we're cutting out bad frequencies, we want to make sure we use a very narrow Q, so that we don't affect too much of the signal and we can just isolate and remove those problem frequencies. Once we've removed the problem frequencies we're not happy with, or frequencies that are making some unpleasant sounds, some unpleasant noises, we can then think about boosting to enhance the mix and enhance the sounds we do like. So boosting frequencies is what brings out the character of the audio. So oftentimes, again, these are just guidelines. It's very different for what exactly we are EQing, but as a basic rule of thumb, often around the 2 to 5K area, my apologies, 2 to 5 kilohertz area is where we will find our clarity. The 100 to 250 hertz area is where we will find warmth, and then the higher end of the spectrum, 10K and higher, we can experiment with for some air and some sparkle. If your audio sounds a bit dull and flat, we can give it some air in this area. Now, a very important tip when EQing, always make sure you compare your EQ track to the unprocessed version. You can do this by bypassing the EQ plugin while you're working, to make sure that the adjustments you're making are not just for the sake of making adjustments, and that it is actually adding value and improving, the sound of your mix. That way you'll develop a reference point of before and after. Lastly, with regards to the basics, EQ is an art that takes practice. You can follow guidelines, but they are just, at the end of the day, guidelines. But trust your ears. Don't be afraid to experiment with different boosts, different cuts, different techniques. The more that you work with an EQ, the better your results will be, and the more you'll learn. So don't be afraid to go out there, have fun, try different things. Alright, I think let's move on to some practical examples. So for the sake of this tutorial, we are going to EQ some hip-hop vocals. These vocals were given to us by a very talented man. His name is Aston. He's a rapper. We'll add the links in the bio for you guys to check out his music if you'd like to. And he's given us permission to work on his vocals for the sake of this tutorial. So shout out Aston. Alright, so let me just quickly open up our session view. I'm going to restart from scratch here, so I can move this mixer out of the way. So we have our two audio tracks here. Top layer is the main vocal, and then underneath that we have a second layer with our ad-libs, doubles, those kinds of things. So we'll mute that for now. Alright, so first things first, obviously we need to open the project, which it is done here. Make sure that your vocal track is recorded properly and imported into the project. EQing is not useless, but not as effective if our dry recording isn't as good as we can get it with what we have. So we recorded Aston using our Rode NT1 microphone in our isolated studio booth, and the dry recording came out quite well to start with. So already with a good dry recording, that makes our jobs as the engineers much easier, not as much to fix. So always make sure, step one, before you do any work, make sure your recording is as clear and as clean as you possibly can get in your environment. It'll just make your life so much easier and so much more stress-free. Alright. So first things first, we'll start with our main vocal. So I'm gonna play this for you guys, just so you can hear how it sounds dry. Stick a loop here so I don't have to keep going back and forth. So this is what our vocals sound like dry, no processing at all, just purely recorded with a good quality mic in a good quality environment.
T. Falling victim to propaganda, lying to yourself, so get a grip and grab the handle. Promise you the world and then they leave you with a fraction. Nothing ever changes till you actually make it happen. Hey, I've become a pro at turning pain to passion. Are you someone talking shit or someone taking action? I consider myself the latter. Family and love, the only things that actually matter. Wait. In the voice, I went to war with mine. Life's a bitch and then you die. I went to war with time. Keep the faith, dog, cause nothing happens overnight. I was doing push-ups in the dark before I found the light.
So there we can hear our dry vocal. I mean, already fairly clean. Now it's all just about enhancing and getting rid of things we don't want. So what I like to do first and foremost before I start any kind of EQing is I like to get rid of any unnecessary silence, dead noise, the likes. So if I listen here from the start, I can get rid of all of this silence.
Yeah. T. falling.
So for the sake of this tutorial, I'm not going to go into very in-depth editing, but just very basic, just to show you guys what it looks like. So we right click, grab the scissors tool, we'll keep these ad-libs here, and then just make your cuts. And then all this excess can simply delete. We don't need that. And then what I like to do is add some very slight fades on each of these clips, just so the transition is a little smoother. Normally I would do this throughout the whole track, make sure there's no unwanted noises such as the microphone being hit, swallowing, mixing spit in the mouth. We don't want those in our recording, but thankfully with hip hop, it's so fast that there isn't a lot of that always present. Like gaps like here can also get rid of, but for the sake of time, we won't go too much into that. But for me at least, good practice to follow. Just edit your audio first before you do any processing. Make cuts, get rid of unwanted noises, unwanted breaths, any sound that you don't want in the recording. It's good to cut out. Alright, now I think we can get to some EQing. So again, I'm just going to bring over my mix console here. Same, so we're working on the main vocal now. I've muted the lib layer. We don't need to focus on that too much right now. So I'm going to find my EQ, get my TDR Nova. It's quite good to start your processing chain with an EQ as well. But in future tutorials we'll go over good processing chains for different applications, but for this video we'll just focus on the EQ side of things. So we open up our TDR Nova. If I press play,
Falling victim to propaganda, lying to yourself, so get a grip and grab the handle.
So we just select it to out, that's output. And now we should be able to see once the audio plays. Just fast forward a bit here.
Falling victim to propaganda, lying to yourself, so get a grip and grab the handle. Promise you the world and then they leave you with a fraction. Nothing ever changes till you actually make it happen. Hey, I've become a pro at turning pain to passion. Are you someone talking shit or someone taking action?
Alright. Again, what EQ you use is completely up to you. TDR Nova at the moment is just my favorite. It's so easy to use, and it's free on top of that, which is great. It's a really great free EQ, but you're welcome to use Cubase's built-in EQs as well, just as good. But remember, if you guys want to grab this, it is free on the TDR website. TDR has a whole host of other really good free plugins. Not sponsored. Maybe I should be. Just kidding. Alright. So again, just understand your controls, frequency, moves where we want to work, gain, boosts or cuts, Q, narrow or wider. Very simple. Then above here, I forgot to touch on this. These are your different kinds of cuts and boosts. That's a shelf. and this is a shelf but in the opposite direction. But for this sake of EQing, we want a notch. So a very common practice in hip-hop vocal EQ is to apply a high-pass filter to remove any of that unwanted low-frequency rumble and noise. So we're going to set the frequency to around 80-100 Hertz and adjust the slope to our liking. A good rule of thumb is about 12 dB per octave. But first we'll take a listen again to that dry vocal. I also recommend you guys listen to this video with headphones so you can hear the mixing and the nuances a little better.
I consider myself the latter. Family and love, the only things that actually matter. Wait. In the voice, so I went to war with mine.
I can already notice some low-end woof noises on some of the phrases. The high pass should sort that out.
Life's a bitch and then you die. I went to war with time. Keep the faith, dog, cause nothing happens overnight. I was doing push-ups in the dark before I found the light.
Low-end energy here.
And I just wanna take flight. Stars shine brightest in the middle of the night. Really I used to think I find the answers in the bottom of a bag. Misconception.
So again, activate your high pass, and then we'll play and we'll listen.
Of a man, I wasn't half that, and I'm tired of that hate. Where the love at? Ain't no chicken on my plate. Where the grub at? Said I'm tired of that hate. Where the love at? Ain't no chicken on my plate.
So there's 80 on the dot. I can already hear that so there, we've moved it up to 80 Hertz, and I can already tell just by the playback that a lot of that low end rumble is already taken care of. It's gone. Sounds much clearer. Not as much weird artifacts going on in the background.
Where the said I'm tired of that hate. Where the love at? Ain't no chicken on my plate. Where the grub at?
And remember, depending on the character of voice of the person you're recording, Aston's voice is more MIDI. He doesn't have as much low end in his voice, so we can even maybe try push it to 100.
And I'm tired of that hate. Where the love at?
For me, that's getting a little too thin, so maybe halfway.
Ain't no chicken on my plate. Where the all my life I've been a bad kid. Like I'm 90. With the homies.
I'm quite happy with that. Then let's adjust our slope. You can drag up or down, but you can also on the TDR Nova just simply click it, and then let's go for a 12 dB per octave.
Rolled it up, we smoking grass, kid. Have another, getting high so I don't crash, kid. Mama mad, I got bankies in my bag, kid. This the shit that made me who I am today. Battle after battle, shit ain't going how I planned.
Just with a much less sloped, if that's the word I can use, slope, it transitions a little more smoothly. It's not putting up a wall, so it just allows those frequencies to get removed a little smoother. Alright, the next thing we need to tackle once that's been done is we need to try and get rid of some problem frequencies. So this is where our tight Q and cutting will come into play. Take a listen. Also, obviously, like I mentioned earlier, oftentimes we find muddiness around 200 to 400 Hertz. Sibilance is, so that's your s, sh, t sounds. They're usually found between 5 and 7 kilohertz, which we'll take a look at soon. Another technique we use to find some problem frequencies is by doing a frequency sweep. To do that, we'll select this first notch here. Make sure our Q is as narrow as possible. We'll band solo it just so we get a little more detail, so we're not hearing everything at the same time. So as you can see, it's made that very tight notch. So then what we'll do is we'll boost that signal all the way.
In the day
day. Afraid of my emotions, cause it means I ain't a man today. I'm sensitive.
Frequency.
And that's some shit I'm proud to say.
And then we simply
And fuck whoever
either drag
tried
it
to tell
along
me
by
otherwise.
holding the
You could keep the
nodule
fakes
and moving
around
our
you, but
mouse,
it come
or
with
we
lies. God told me when I didn't
simply
have a
move it with
dime.
the
Your
frequency knob.
blessings on the way, little homie. But
Let's
it's
see what
on
we can
time.
hear.
In terms of steps, I couldn't say what might be next, but I can say I'll open.
Again, trust your ears. Your ears are very strong organs, and they will oftentimes let you know when you hear something you don't like or that's uncomfortable to the ear. So again, let's just go through here.
Always strive to be the best, and I'm scared, but I'll always keep my faith. Take your time, this is life, this ain't a race. And I'm tired of the hate, where the love at? Ain't no chicken on my plate, where the grub at? Said I'm tired of the hate.
So here at the around 740 hertz mark, I can hear a bit of ringing that I'm not the biggest fan of.
Hey, where the love at? Ain't no chicken on my plate, where the ha? And I'm tired of the hate, where the love at? Ain't no chicken on my plate, where the grub at? Said I'm tired of the hate, where the love at? Ain't no chicken on my plate.
Again, it's not super bad. It's just a little bit. So then what we would do is we'd reduce it. I don't think we need to reduce this one too much. It's not super harsh. So let's reduce it about minus 6 dB or so. And then
where the grub?
Super narrow like that if we want to target that specific frequency. If you wanted to maybe affect a slightly broader area, you just widen your cue. So let's just widen it just a little bit.
That, yeah. Spread love.
All right.
Falling victim to propaganda, lying to yourself.
Bring it down maybe a little more.
So get a grip and grab the handle. Promise you the world and then they leave you with a fraction. Nothing ever changes till you actually make it happen. Hey, I've become a pro at turning pain to passion. Are you someone so
to always switch back between bypassed and on, just so you can hear if that's done anything. Obviously now I can hear that that low end is nowhere near as strong as it was on the dry recording, and it sounds a little cleaner.
Talking shit as someone taking action? Huh? I consider myself the latter. Family and love, the only things that.
Right. So then we can continue to sweep through. He doesn't have too much muddiness in his voice, so I don't think we really need to worry too much about the 200 to 400 hertz mark. I didn't really notice anything too hectic there. So again, we just repeat the process. Wide cue, gain it all the way up. It's band solo it just so we can hear a little better, and continue to do our frequency sweep.
It actually matter. Wait. In the voice, I went to war with mine. Life's a bitch and then you die. I went to war with time. Keep the faith, dog, cause nothing happens overnight. I was doing push-ups in the dark before I found the light. Yeah, and I just wanna take flight. Stars shine brightest in the middle of the night. Yeah, I used to think I'd find the.
So now we are getting close to the range where we'd find a lot of our sibilants.
The answers in the bottom of a bag. Misconceptions of a man, I wasn't half that. And I'm tired of that hate. Where the love at? Ain't no chicken on my plate. Where the grub at? Said I'm tired of that hate. Where the love
So again, not too
Ain't no
bad,
chicken on my plate.
but
Where
I did
the-
notice something I wasn't
Said I'm
happy with
tired
just
of that
before
hate. Where the
5K.
love at? Ain't no chicken on my plate. Where the grub at? And I'm tired of that hate. Where the love at? Ain't no chicken on my plate. Where the, yeah. All my life I've been a bad kid. I'm with the homies, rolled it up, we smoking grass, kid. Have another, getting high so I don't crash, kid. Mama mad, I got bankies in my bag, kid. This the shit that made me who I am today. Battle after battle, shit ain't going how I planned today. Afraid of my emotions, cause it means I ain't a man today. I'm sensitive, and that's some shit I'm proud to say. And fuck whoever tried to tell me otherwise. You could keep the fakes around you, but it come with lies. God told me when
Again,
I didn't.
Nothing too bad, but I noticed a slight ring, slight unpleasant sound there. So again, we're just going to reduce this gain. And leave it as is. Maybe widen it just a tiny bit. Alright, then let's take a look at that sibilant area. Try and reduce some of the sibilance.
Didn't have a dime. Your blessings on the way, little homie, but it come with time.
Thankfully, when we recorded this, we had the microphone placed a good distance away from the vocalist, and we used a pop filter too, so that already, like I said, just making sure you record your audio properly will already solve a lot of the problems before you even need to add EQs and mixing. So his sibilance isn't too bad, nothing too hectic. The pop filter obviously helps with that a lot, but we'll take a look anyway.
In terms of steps, I couldn't say what might be next, but I can say I'll always strive to be the best. And I'm scared, but I'll always keep my faith. Take your time, this is life, this ain't a race. And I'm tired of that hate, where the love at? Ain't no chicken on my plate, where the grub at? Said I'm tired of that hate, where the love at? Ain't no chicken on my plate, where the And I'm tired of that hate, where the love at? Ain't no chicken on my plate, where the grub at?
So around the 6K mark, I can pick up quite a bit of sibilance.
Ain't no chicken on my plate, where the
So again, let's just bring that down a bit. Nothing too hectic. Maybe widen it a bit. Right, then let's quickly reference, do a quick A and B, see if we made a difference.
Lying to yourself, so get a grip and grab the handle. Promise you the world and then they leave you with a fraction.
So I'm going to play it for you guys for a few seconds after we've done some corrective EQ. So just pay attention, listen, and then I'm going to A-B it between the corrected version and the dry vocal straight out of the microphone.
Nothing ever changes till you actually make it happen, hey. I've become a pro at turning pain to passion. Are you someone talking shit or someone taking action? I consider myself the latter. Family and love, the only things that actually matter. Wait.
Alright, so that was obviously our EQ'd version. We will still add additive EQ as well to bring out some of that character in his voice. Now I'm going to play you guys the dry version, no processing. See if you can tell the difference.
In the voice, I went to war with mine. Life's a bitch and then you die. I went to war with time. Keep the faith, dog, cause nothing happens overnight. I was doing push-ups in the dark before I found the light. Yeah, and I just wanna take flight. Stars shine brightest in the middle of the night. Yeah, I used to think I'd find the answers in the bottom of a bag. Misconceptions of a man, I wasn't half that. And I'm tired of that hate, where the love at? Ain't no chicken on.
So as we can hear, a little less boomy, a little more clear. I do actually think I want to reduce this high pass a bit.
On my plate, where the grub at? Said I'm tired of that hate.
Just so we don't lose all of the bass in his voice, as he has a very MIDI voice.
Where the love at? Ain't no chicken on my plate, where the Said I'm tired of that hate, where the love at?
Right, happy with that. Alright, next thing is boosting. So when I boost, I typically like to do it on a separate EQ, just so I have more space to work with. It doesn't look so overwhelming, and I've already used a lot of these nodules here. So what we'll do, we'll leave that, open up another TDR Nova straight underneath it, and then what I like to do, just to make life easier, is open up the one I've already worked on. So that's our corrective EQ here. The reason I do that is so when I boost, I make sure I'm not boosting frequencies I've taken out, because that defeats the whole point. We don't want to boost over all of these cuts that we've made. that would just, yeah, boost the problems we try to take out. So some little tips, like I've mentioned before, with vocals especially, our clarity and brightness is often found in the 2 to 5 kilohertz. Obviously we've got a lot of cuts here, so we'll have to see how we can work that in there. Warmth and body is found around the 100 to 250 hertz range. I'll probably do a bit of a boost there, add some bass back into his voice, and then we'll add a bit of air in the higher frequency range if needed. So when you boost, you don't need to make as narrow boosts. When you boost, it's actually preferred to make them a little wider. Obviously, again, don't boost over your areas that you've corrected. So I think we'll do a small little boost straight over the 2K mark here.
Ain't no chicken on my plate, where the grub at? And I'm tired of the hate, where the love at?
Adds a bit of brightness and clarity, but we just need to make sure we're not boosting this area too much. So make your cue a little narrower, maybe even move it back. This one, between this 1 and 2K range, we've got some space to work with here. Widen it again a little bit.
Ain't no chicken on my plate, where the, yeah. All my life I've been a bad kid. I'm with the homies, rolled it up, we smoking grass, kid. Have another, getting high so I don't crash, kid.
Alright, I think then let's bring out some of the warmth in his voice. So like I mentioned, around the 100 250k mark, 250 hertz mark, sorry, we find our warmth. So let's give it a boost there. Make it a little narrower.
Mama mad, I got bankies in my bag, kid. This the shit that made me who I am today. Battle after battle, shit ain't going how I planned today. Afraid of my emotions cause it means I ain't a man today. I'm sensitive, and that's some shit I'm proud to say. And fuck whoever tried to
a little more bass in his voice, a little more presence and warmth. And again, we're not affecting these areas that we've cut out. We're keeping them cut out.
Tell me otherwise. You could keep the fakes around you, but it come with lies. God told me when I didn't have a dime, your blessings on the way, little homie, but it come with time. In terms of steps, I couldn't say what might be next, but I can say I'll always strive to be the best. And I'm scared, but I'll always keep my faith. Take your time, this is life, this ain't a race. And I'm tired of that hate, where the love.
Right, then we'll add a little bit of air. So we'll keep this on a shelf, and just add a slight little shelf in these higher frequency ranges here, right above 10. So you can see what the higher air addition does. I'm going to boost it very high just so you can hear what effect.
Ain't no chicken on my plate, where the grub at? Said I'm tired of that hate, where the love at? Ain't no chicken.
You can hear it adds a little bit of airiness, but we don't need too much. So just
chicken on my plate, where the, ha? And I'm tired of that hate, where the love at? Ain't no chicken on my plate, where the grub at? Said I'm tired of that hate, where the love at?
Just very
Ain't
subtle.
no chicken on my plate, where the grub at?
Alright, now obviously we have two EQs slapped on top of each other. So to A-B this whole chain that we've worked on here, instead of individually tapping each one off, there's two ways in Cubase we can bypass the plugins. We can either go to the top of the inserts here, and you see this blue dot. If we unclick that, it bypasses every frequency, every plugin in the chain here. That way we can A/B between our dry and our processed vocal to compare. Another way we can do that is in the top here. We have this insert button here next to EQ, etc., etc. this button bypasses all of the plugins in the entire session. So if you'd like to reference all of the processing over your whole track, you can bypass all of the plugins in your track at once. But we don't need to do that, so we'll just bypass here in inserts. Alright, let's take another listen to our dry vocal.
Yeah. Falling victim to propaganda, lying to yourself, so get a grip and grab the handle. Promise you the world and then they leave you with a fraction. Nothing ever changes till you actually make it happen. Hey, I've become a pro at turning pain to passion. Are you someone talking shit or someone taking action? I consider myself the latter. Family and love, the only things that actually matter. Wait. In the voice, I went to war with mine. Life's a bitch and then you die. I went to war with time. Keep the faith, dog, cause nothing happens overnight. I was doing push-ups in the dark before I found the light. Yeah, and I just wanna.
And again, you'll keep tweaking as you go to fine-tune the sound you want. Trust your ear, make subtle adjustments, and ensure your vocals sit well in the mix and the instrumental.
To take flight.
Obviously we don't have an instrumental for this session, but just always make sure your vocals sit well with that instrumental.
Stars shine brightest in the middle of the night. Yeah, I used to think I'd find the answers in the bottom of a
little more present, not as much boomy woo 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 noises. Happy days. Again, because we used a good microphone in a good area, or a good treated area, makes the EQ work a lot easier. Not as much background noise to worry about, white noise, hissing, because it was recorded in a soundproof booth. Stay tuned and we might give you a tutorial on how to get the best of your recordings at your home setup. If you don't have access to a studio like ours, we can give you guys some tips and advice on how you can make the best with what you have at home. Like I said, always compare your EQ'd vocals to the unprocessed version by bypassing the EQ plugin. This helps you ensure that you are actually improving the sound. Alright, I think that covers basic EQ. We'll quickly take a look at our second layer here, the lib layer. You know, the processing will be very similar to his main vocal. So if you don't want to restart the processing over again, in Cubase there's a nifty little trick where you can just hold over insert, left click, hold, drag. Now that exact same processing will be copied over to the next track with the exact same settings, and then you can go and tweak from there if you so please. Exactly the same. Now this is obviously a lib layer, so we want we don't want it to necessarily be as loud as the main vocal. So we're gonna reduce the volume here a little bit. You can get quite creative with your lib layer. You can add more effects such as delay, reverb, you know, pitch it down, pitch it up. There's a lot of free creative liberty you can have on your lib layer if you so please. But because this is an EQ tutorial, we'll just reduce the volume a little bit. And then let's listen to our track with our libs.
Stars shine brightest in the middle of the night. Yeah, I used to think I'd find the answers in the bottom of a bag. Misconceptions of a man, I wasn't half that. Where the love at? Where the grub at? Where the love at? Did I hate? Where the love at? Ain't no chicken on my plate. Where the grub at? And I'm tired of the hate. Where the love at? Ain't no chicken on my plate. Where the, yeah. All my life I've been a bad kid. I'm with the homies, rolled it up. We smoking grass, kid. So I don't crash, kid. Mama mad. I got bankies in my bag, kid. This the shit that made me who I am today. Battle after battle, shit ain't going how I planned today. Afraid of my emotions, cause it means I ain't a man today. I'm sensitive, and that's some shit I'm proud to say. And fuck whoever tried to tell me otherwise. You could keep the fakes around you, but it come with lies. God told me when I didn't have a dime, your blessings on the way, little homie, but it come with time. In terms of steps, I couldn't say what might be next, but I can say I'll always strive to be the best. And I'm scared, but I'll always keep my faith. Take your time, this is life, this ain't a race. And I'm tired of that hate, where the love at? Ain't no chicken on my plate, where the grub at? Said I'm tired of that hate, where the love at? Ain't no chicken on my plate, where the grub at? And I'm tired of that hate, where the love at? Ain't no chicken on my plate, where the grub at?
Alright, and then last things last for this video tutorial, make sure whenever you tweaking things, working on things, periodically just make sure you save your session so that you don't lose your progress if you live in South Africa like I do and load shedding strikes. I know you South African producers know what I'm talking about. If you forget to save your project, it can be quite annoying, quite disheartening, especially if you've done a whole lot of work without saving. A lot of DAWs, I know FL for example, has an autosave feature that you can set how periodically it autosaves in the background for you, but it is good practice just to get into the habit of saving your project periodically, whether it's every hour, every 30 minutes, that's your preference. So we're just going to name this Aston Vocal Mix. And there we know. Then you select where you'd like to save your project. But we'll save this now. You can also hit Control S to quick save without having to go into this drop down menu here. Project saved, and then we're ready to move on to the next step of the mixing process, which will be in another tutorial video, guys. I hope this video was insightful. I hope that it gave you, beginners especially, some basic insight and guidance on the mixing process, or the EQ process, should I say. We'll continue this series with other processing options such as compression, saturation, etc., etc., etc. in another video. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more tutorials.